What's up, guys? It's Jacob, the Skateboard Mentor. We're back in the studio for another episode of the podcast. I have a special guest here, my friend, a local skateboarder entrepreneur who's also the founder of SkaterCon. And yeah, I want to just welcome you in, Adam. Thanks you for being here, man.
Appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we actually got to skate Paradise Valley. That video will be dropping soon, where we had a skate session, talked about life, business, connected with the locals. As you can see, I got a little bit of sun today, man. That was a fun session.
Yeah, it was a super rad sesh.
So I want to kick it off, man. Tell me, where are you from? Are you from Phoenix? Like, what was the local park that you grew up skating?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Mesa, like West Side Mesa.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there wasn't a lot of parks back when I was growing up in Mesa. So, you know, but there was a spot that we considered our park, and that was the Wedge. And I know the Wedge has a skate park there now, but when I was growing up, the only thing to skate at the Wedge was the embankment and then those ledges off, you know, sort of in the distance.
Yeah.
And there was some stair sets and stuff like that, but this was way before all of that stuff had evolved into everyday kids who skated hitting stuff like that, you know? I mean, nowadays, a kid, you know, 10, 11 years old at a park would have been, you know, at their ability of skating now would be like a professional skateboarder back then. It would have been blowing minds left and right, you know? That's how far skateboarding has come. But yeah, I mean, growing up in Mesa, you know, we skated the streets, we skated the curves, we skated launch ramps and whatever we could find. And but we did, from time to time, you know, the spot that holds a special place in my heart is definitely the Wedge. Like I said, you know, you would go there and there you would see an array of skaters from different ages and backgrounds and demographics, and it was just like, wow, you were stoked because you saw all these people that you didn't really know they all existed in the same town and at the same time. But the Wedge was definitely the spot, you know, hitting that bank and those fun little ledges that they have were a good time for sure.
And so what year is this?
This is about 86, 87.
Okay.
Yeah, mid-late 80s.
So you've been skating a couple of years now.
A few years, yeah. I mean, I got my first skateboard when I was 7 years old. My parents gave it to me for Christmas, and it wasn't like I was asking for a skateboard for Christmas or anything like that at 7 years old. But, you know, I had two older sisters. They would get bikes. I got a skateboard.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, you know, and I would, once I exhausted playing with all my new, you know, G.I. Joes and Star Wars and Hot Wheels and stuff like that, I eventually gravitated towards the skateboard, which was just in the garage. And I was like, you know, picked up the skateboard. And it wasn't like a big, wide shape or anything like that. It was a real narrow skateboard, wood, solid oak plank with 2 strips of grip tape. It was a Newporter Stoke and Oak. That was the model of it. And it was, you know, legit enough, but it wasn't like, you know, they went to a skate shop and picked all the components out and put it all together and gave it to me for Christmas. It was kind of like, we'll do this, we'll give him this, you know, because they're getting bikes, he'll get a skateboard and we'll be happy. And I think I was about 7 years old. So it must have been about 82. And like I said, I eventually exhausted playing with all of the other toys I got for Christmas and gravitated towards the skateboard. And I started out on the one knee, you know, pushing around, and you find out, well, you don't want to put your hands here because when you go to lean and turn, you're going to get wheel bite on your knuckles, you know, holding onto the board, pushing around on one knee. And then that turned into, okay, well, the first time I can remember ever getting stoked on a skateboard was on that Stoke and Oak Newporter in my driveway, trying to go down the driveway all the way without jumping off, you know, like going all the way down into the street without jumping off. And those were just like the first times getting stoked on a skateboard. And I didn't think much of it then. I mean, I didn't think, oh, this is my, you know, I'm a skateboarder now. It was just another toy I was playing with, you know.
Well, you said you were big into pop culture, so I'm curious, and you related that, how that, you know, eventually, which I want you to share the story about how you got your first skate event and all that stuff, which led to you thinking about what SkaterCon is, right?
Sure.
But like, is at the same time you're thinking about pop culture? At what point was it that you
I was
saw
just
that?
a kid growing up, and I loved to play with toys, watch cartoons, and have fun.
It was
That's
just
all I
another
knew.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
all I knew. And it wasn't until I was probably like 10, 11 years old that, I remember my mom took me, one of my earliest seeds planted for what would later become SkaterCon and get me thinking about skateboarding and that sort of thing was my mom took me to a shopping center, a shopping plaza, and she was in the store, and I noticed there was some kids skating a pool because it was this spot called Skate in the Shade back in the day where you can go and you pay to go in, and you go skate this pool. And I had never seen anybody skate a pool before. Like I've only seen people skate down the street or whatever it was. And I walked over there and I was like checking out this guy skating this pool, and it was just like magic to me. You know, it was just totally blew me away. And I was like, how is this even possible? But yet here it is happening right in front of me. And that really was a seed planting for me falling in love with skateboarding, you know. And it was around that time as well when I walked into my first skate shop, and that was again in Mesa. And I don't remember exactly where it was or what it was called, but I think it was a part bike shop and part skate shop. And I remember walking in, my mom was doing some shopping down a couple doors down, whatever it was, and seeing like the first time I ever saw a Tony Hawk on, a Tony Hawk skateboard, the Tony Hawk graphic,
The hawk.
the Hawk skull, and the Iron Cross, and thought, wow, that's really cool. But the one that really stood out to me that at the time, if I could have picked out any board off that wall, it was the Santa Cruz Jammer. And it had like chain link fence graphic, and it just said Jammer across it, and it was baby blue, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so those were little seeds planted early on in my life for being passionate about what I'm passionate about now, which is skateboarding.
How does it make you feel now knowing that Santa Cruz is part of SkaterCon and all these other big brands that will support and come out? You got legends, people donating goods and everything, just being part of it. Like you said, the art, the culture, where you were once looking at a Santa Cruz board, not even knowing that.
What that would lead into. But yeah, that's a good question, because I mean, it feels really good. It feels really good and legitimizing, and it feels like I'm doing something right, like the event came about just simply, well, I was into pop culture. I would go to San Diego Comic-Con every year, and so, but backing up a little bit, I was a skater for a very long time growing up. That's what I did. That's what my friends did. That's what we loved. That's all we cared about was skating all day, all night. We loved it so much, and we would go everywhere and hit every spot, looking for backyard ramps. Anytime we found anything, we would just totally just shred it until we were exhausted, But then, as life goes, I met a girl, and ended up having kids, and living that life for a while. All the while I was a skater, and as my kids got older, I would buy them skateboards, show them how to skate, try to give that gift to them, And but I was never, it did fall to the wayside a tad. It wasn't like my main focus to go out and hit all the new parks and all these things. It was just I was in the process of living life and trying to support my family and provide for the kids and everything else. And so there was a time where I didn't skate a whole lot, anymore. And once the kids got a little bit older and stuff, but I was into pop culture. Getting back to that, I started to really get into pop culture and, just comics and art and stuff like that. Stuff that, helped me, remember my youth and things like that. And I remember I would go to San Diego Comic-Con every year, and I brought a friend because by this time I had gotten back into skating full on. Like I was very passionate about it. It was really, the spark had been reignited for skateboarding for me at some point. I started, and that was because I started collecting. I always had this collecting bug, and that's where the pop culture stuff was. It was always collecting comics and toys and all these different things, original art. so on and so forth. But eventually that just got tired for me. Like, it just seemed like, you know, now all these movies were popping up, and that's great. It's cool. Like, all these movies from like the characters and the stories that I love, you know, the X-Men, Spider-Man, all these things. But it just sort of just became commercialized and over popular. It just, when things become so popular, it's a turnoff for me. It's just, I don't know why. It's just one of those things that the more people that are into it and love it, and you know, weren't necessarily there early on, and that's fine. You know, you can find something you love new and appreciate it, and that's fine. But for me, it was starting to be too much. I was becoming inundated with all of these things that I once was really passionate about, and I just got sick of it. And I asked myself, well, who am I truly? What do I truly love? And I thought to myself, you know what I love is skateboarding. And I love skateboards and skateboard graphics, you know, and all of those things from my childhood that you know, I was super stoked on back then. So I ended up starting collecting skateboards. I consciously told myself, I'm going to start collecting reissue skateboards. These look cool, you know. I used to go online and I'm looking at the Santa Cruz stuff and the PAL stuff, and I'm buying reissues left and right here and there and building my collection. And then I got my first taste of a vintage skateboard that a friend of mine found at a swap meet, and he's like, "Hey man, you know, I know you're into this, you know, check it out." And he gives me this Kevin Staub, the Mad Scientist Sims Pro model, you know, a used beater that he found at a swap meet. But I was so stoked, like, this thing had been around, you know, forever, and it's from the time when I was a kid. And I remember my friends riding this board and me wanting to ride that board. And I remember Kevin Staub himself, seeing him in the magazines and in some of the few videos we had. And so when I had that vintage board in my hands, I was just like, man, what am I doing with these reissues? Like, these actually have soul. These actually have like life to them, you know? And so I went full on, started collecting vintage skateboards, and got, you know, sucked into that world of collecting vintage skateboards. And it's pretty amazing. Like the groups of people that you'll meet and everybody who collects, and, you know, the knowledge that they carry, and the, you know, the culture that they preserve, you know? And so that was really a turn on for me. So I just started collecting vintage skateboards, and putting them complete to period. You know, the trucks, the wheels, the rails, all that stuff, like to period. And what that pro rider, for example, like Jeff Phillips, for example, may he rest in peace. Jeff Phillips rode for Sims skateboards. And it was actually my second pro model I ever skated, and it was a hand-me-down given to me by a neighborhood kid who had just picked up a fresh Skull skates, and I bought it for $20, and it was the Jeff Phillips Breakout Sims model, and that was the second pro model I ever rode after my Dwayne Peters, which was also a hand-me-down. But yeah, I don't know. It's just you know.
Well, I like that you're saying.
Yeah, but he rode for Sims. He rode for Tracker, so I would set it up just like how Jeff Phillips would have set it up, you know, with the Rat Bones wheels and the Tracker trucks and that sort. I mean, when I was a kid, I just rode whatever I was given, you know, and got used to it. It'd be mismatched trucks, wheels. It didn't matter, like whatever I could get. My parents didn't make a lot of money, and so everything I rode was a hand-me-down, you know, and I was super grateful for it, man, and just. I love skateboarding, and that was, you know, growing up in the late 80s for me.
Well, it's interesting when I talk to other skateboarder entrepreneurs, skateboarding never left them. And you said you just never stopped skating. And I'm curious, like, there was always a point when I talk to other people, right? They always say, yeah, I wanted to be pro. I think everyone wants to be a pro skater, right? You're skating every day in and day out. You're seeing pros. You want to be a pro.
Right.
I'm curious what that turning point was for you, where you're like, look, I'm not going to be a pro, but skateboarding is part of my life, and how can I keep it incorporated? Because you said, hey, you looked back, you did a self-reflection and said, what's important to me? What's my purpose? What's my why? What do I want in my life? And I did the same thing. I backpacked Central America, and specifically after college, because I wanted to figure out what do I want in my life. And from that trip, I met skaters all around the world, and I came back and I'm like, dude, I want to skate the rest of my life. I want to travel and see the world. I want to help people because I met skaters that were sleeping on the street, selling bubble gum. You know, they snap a board, they don't get a board. You know, they make 15, 20 bucks a month, and they got to eat and stuff. So it's like once something breaks, they're done. You know, until someone can give them something, they're bumming it off their friends. So I'm like, dude, I got to come back and build you guys a park. I got to send supplies. Like, how can I help you, right? And that was initially the start of what became NESW, and that's why I called it Now Evolving Skateboarding. 2016.
2016. That was the year of the first SkaterCon, 2016.
So we were both planted the seed and what now is a partnership, right? Coming in with SkaterCon and NESW. Like I just love the fact that for me it was, okay, I know I'm not going to be a pro skateboarder, but I know I want to do something with skateboarding and I want to build parks. And I'm like, okay, nonprofit. And I had this idea that, 501c3. And I was on the board of Best Buddies and I did a lot of volunteer work. And they had a big money in nonprofits, right?
Really?
Like all these parades and fundraisers, and I would get bags and sunglasses. And I'm like, who's paying for this? Nonprofit, no profit. And it blew my mind because I'm like, these guys seem like they're the ones that have the most money. And that was when I started researching it. I'm like, wow, okay, you can donate things tax-free, like all of this incentives. Like, why shouldn't I get a C Corp or S Corp or LLC? Like, what's the difference with the 501c3? And yeah, man, I thought that people would just hand me over millions of dollars and I can go and build parks and be some philanthropist. And I learned the hard way that no, it's a grind. Like, you gotta put work into it.
It is a lot of work, and I see you taking those necessary steps to achieve those goals and get to the places you want to be, where you can, you know, do what you said, like build parks and you know, grow the community, you know, of skateboarding and beyond.
And it's for the love of skating. Like, I just love the fact
for the right reasons, and for skaters, by skaters, all for the right reasons. And that's super, you know, something I want to be a part of as well. You know, that's what I want to do with SkaterCon, is leave a legacy that when people look back, they're going to be like, you know what, I remember that, and it did this for me, and I'm grateful because now, you know, it's brought me here and it's taken me there. And so that's what it's all about, man. It's just, you know, having a good time, but at the same time trying to leave a legacy for once we're gone, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk SkaterCon for a minute, because I know we're entering SkaterCon 8. You and I are partnered together. It's here in Paradise Valley, March 11th.
Stoked. Bringing it back home. It will have been 3 years since the last Phoenix SkaterCon, this one coming up in March. And it's crazy to think that it's been 3 years, man, but that's what it's been. And we've been fortunate enough to have a couple in the meantime, you know, one in Tucson earlier last year, and a few months ago, partnering up with Etnies and having it out in Lake Forest, and building the awareness of the event and that sort of thing was super beneficial. But you know, Phoenix for me is the home of SkaterCon, and that's where, you know, I think the best SkaterCons happen.
And is there a specific park in particular why you picked Paradise Valley for this next one? This is the second time. The first, I think it was SkaterCon 6. Was it SkaterCon 6 or?
They've all been at Paradise Valley except for the last two we've just mentioned and the very first one. Okay,
so the first one that I went to was in Paradise Valley, and then we had Tucson, and then Etnies. So this will be my fourth one.
Right. Okay.
It took 4 to partner together.
Yeah, there was 3 more. Was it 3 or 4? There was 4 before you jumped on board. And the first one we had, it was at a venue downtown called the Press Room. So it wasn't a skate park. It was an actual proper venue for bands and that sort of thing.
So just booths, walking around, expo type feel.
No, I mean, there was that, yes, but we did have Cowtown was gracious enough to let us use their ramp, and we resheeted it and brought it out for one day. We brought out the mini ramp to the event, and people, you know, so we had something to skate. You can't have SkaterCon without something to skate, you know. So we were fortunate enough to have Cowtown involved, and they were so generous to let us use their ramp, and eternally grateful for that, because that was the first SkaterCon. You know, meanwhile we had booths and vendors, food trucks, that sort of thing. And we had bands playing inside, outside. We had Johnny Rad and the Eggplants headline the first show. Who else was there? Salva and Powerflex 5. We had the Drunk Engines with Mofo, legendary photographer for Thrasher magazine, and just legendary dude. Drunk Engines. And who else did we have? We had the Early Grabs, and I think, McRad. Oh yeah, McRad. McRad performed as well. And just a footnote from the very first one, it was really, the first one was the only one where alcohol was ever served. It was, and it was great. The other ones, the park, it's too much red tape and bureaucracy for an event that happens during the day to go through all that in order to have alcohol being served there. It's not necessary.
Alcohol and skating?
Not necessary.
I don't blame.
But there will be tailgating. So,
Yeah.
but it was really cool. It was the only one where we had alcohol being served and that sort of thing. So it was a little different than the rest of them. But I like the fact that we have this at the parks now, where we can have an array of contests and demos and all that good stuff. PV, because I have a really good relationship with the parks department there, and thank you TJ and the city of Phoenix, Paradise Valley Park. You guys are so valuable to us, and I love the relationship that we've built, and look forward to moving it forward into the next one. And one of the other great things about Paradise Valley Skate Park, or Paradise Valley Park in whole, is that you won't hear anybody complain about parking. There's like 900 parking spaces there between all the different ball fields, the dog park, the swimming pool, the community center, all these things. There's lots of free parking. So that's there's a lot to be said for free parking and not having to hear people complain about parking. You don't want people to have to complain about parking. In the first one, you had to pay to park downtown and that sort of thing. Whatever, it was cool.
Learning curve. Every year,
Paradise Valley is a solid spot.
You're taking over, so it's not just inside the park, right? When people think, "Oh, it's at the skate park, so I want to go in and
fenced inside and be stuck in there."
Yeah,
no. We take over a great deal, a pretty big portion of the park. We fence in. If you've ever been to Paradise Valley Skate Park, there's a huge parking lot that's sort of adjacent, just across from the skate park. We fenced that all in. I think 3 years ago, we had 90 plus vendors.
Yeah.
Including Dogtown. We had Salva posted up, Steve Caballero, Christian Hosoi, and many brands, but also skaters who have alternate things going on and ways of making their ends meet and sort of. And so it's not always all necessarily to do with skateboarding, but as far as product goes, but it has to do with skateboarding in the sense that these are the skaters bringing it to you. It's like, Lance Mountain's out there selling his original art. And, same with Steve Caballero and Christian Hosoi and all that good stuff. And it might not be skateboards, but it's for skaters by skaters at the same time, And so whatever project you have, whether it's a band, whether it's a product, or something related to skateboarding or not, we welcome those
skate culture.
We welcome the skate community, and whether it's skateboarding or not, you've put in your time. You guys have this, venture going now, whatever it might be, and we're here. This is an outlet for you to get the exposure in front of the demographic you desire, which is the people that are into the same things you're into. And so it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, and like how we say, how do we keep skateboarding in our lives? Steve Caballero, Lance Mountain, Christian Hosoi, they're all doing it with like art and music, and the fact that they can still, being older, maybe they're not. I mean, I know Steve Caballero's so ripping bulls, right? But like you see Lance, and he's such a humble, awesome guy to go talk to and
certainly
get his artwork and just look at what they're doing through skateboarding growing up, and now that he can still be part of the culture because of SkaterCon. And I think it's sick. We were just, whenever we were talking, when we left Paradise Valley, we went to go get a bite to eat. Yeah. And then these guys, they saw our shirts. They were like, "What's an ESW? What are you guys doing?" We were talking about how, we're shooting content for the next SkaterCon and what's going on. And he's like, "SkaterCon, what's that?" It's Christian Hosoi, does he show up? You know, like as if.
Really?
So I got my phone out and I'm like, yep, and Lance Mount, and I'm showing him all the photos, right? And
Yeah.
showing him the boards that we got signed from him. And
yeah, it's really cool. It's like, you know, as much as this is for skaters, SkaterCon, it's for people who used to skate too.
Yeah.
And it's the timing of it all. It's like, you know, it's the timing of it. Like I'm older now, you know, and people I grew up with, we're all older now. We have kids. Our kids are having kids, and we want to give them the gift of skateboarding and you know, show them the culture, and you know, it's super beneficial to, you know, it's the timing of it all now that everybody now that we're older, and it's a nostalgic thing in addition to just being stoked out skating with your friends. There's like a nostalgia factor to it about it now for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, my age and older, and you know, so it's the timing of it too. I think it's really cool, and it's like I said, you don't have to be a skater to come and enjoy SkaterCon, although it doesn't hurt. And that's generally the demographic, are skaters. But I mean, especially people who used to skate, they come and they see the vintage skateboard gallery where all my vintage skateboards are on display, you know, and they'd be like, wow, I remember this, I remember that. And it like it did for me, it can reignite that flame of passion of skating and what they loved and, you know, what they used to be about. And so, I mean, it's for everybody, man. It's got something for everybody, you know.
I just met a guy. I was skating Oasis Park out in Queen Creek.
Oh, yeah.
And as soon as I walked in, started talking to this guy, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm 40 years old. Got my daughter a skateboard, and 2 days ago, I was just riding it, like stealing it from her.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is day 2, and he was fully padded up with his own board. He was like, I'm back in it.
It's amazing how and it's because of his daughter. It's like his daughter's giving him the gift, and it's like they're giving the gift to each other.
Yeah.
You know, and how cool is that? So,
like you said, timing. Right now is the best time, and I think about it with NESW and, you know, where I want to be in the future with it and the impact we want to make, and, you know, really thinking about the long play, the just long term, not only what can we do in this next year to make an impact and be better in the next 5 years, but 50 years from now, where's skateboarding going to be? You know, we just had the first Olympics, a local, Jagger Eaton, you know, placed a medal.
Right.
That's big. No one thought, and there was a big controversy, like, should skateboarding be in the Olympics, whatever.
Right.
But, you know, there's a new era of skateboarders. But the originals, the OGs, the Dogtown, all these guys that are coming to SkaterCon, they're still here. Maybe they're not on the board how they were, you know, 20 years ago, but they're still in it. And the fact that they can be part of this in the first, you know, couple SkaterCons, it's super cool.
Well, I can tell you, when I got back into skating fully and started going to the parks and meeting, and that's what it was. It was just meeting all these rad people that were into the same thing, and just really awesome people, say, you know, my age, older, younger, male, female. Like when I was growing up, I didn't know any female skaters. I didn't know any girls that skated.
So many
now. They're snaking me left and right, not at 9 years old at every, you know. So it's really cool to see. Like, it really blows me away to see how female, women, girls, whatever, skating in skateboard, how that's evolved. You know, that just totally blows me away, and I'm super proud to see, you know, how amazing women and girls can be in skateboarding.
There's a lot of groups out here. I know Las Chicas.
Oh, right.
You know,
yeah.
there's
Jean, Natalie,
dude,
super rad.
I was, you know, at Pecos a couple weeks ago, and not just one girl skater comes in. I'm like, rad, that's cool. And then another one comes in, and it was like 6 of them that have showed up to have a skate session.
That's
They're
rad.
skating the quarter pipe all together. I'm just thinking, like, this is sick. You know, so many people that are coming in now.
But another one of the seeds being planted was just the community. You know, the community, how cool that was, how stoked I was on being a part of the community and getting together with these people, my friends, and skating different spots, and just, you know, everybody being stoked out there having fun, man. It was in our 40s, you know, and older, younger, whatever it is. It really made me think about, well, why aren't these events happening like where I'm at, you know? Like, and they were, like, Cowtown does amazing stuff. every month they have an event going on, and it's killer. Like the next one coming up is the Union Classic at my home park that I love so much. And I love that contest too, because I see all my homies skating in it in the 40 and up, and it's like, that's my favorite contest to go and watch, because I just get to see my friends skate, and it's at my home park, and I'm just so stoked, to see everybody there ripping the park. And but yeah, it just, and it's a contest, and that's great. And and then they have there's concerts, and that's great. And there's trade shows, and that's great. But these are all separate things, And SkaterCon is a little bit different than that. It's more of, all of those things and more, all in the same place at one time in one day. And that's just not happening anywhere else. And so I sort of wanted to, having gone to Comic-Con so many times, sort of apply that theory to skateboarding, celebrate the culture.
Yeah.
And all that entails. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And it's, trying to create the event that I would want to attend, and maybe one day it will be built up enough for me to enjoy it, but it's a very hectic day. Leading into SkaterCon, it's a lot. It can be exhausting, but
just
so
having
worth
a booth
it.
there,
so worth it. Yeah.
SkaterCon and SkaterCon 7 in Lake Forest.
Yeah.
It was raining while we were setting up. And it was a perfect day.
Dry all day. And then as we were breaking it down, it just started coming down again.
And there was only one exit out.
Yeah.
One entrance, one exit.
Yeah.
So it was hectic. Boards were getting wet. And But everybody had a smile on their face. Everyone's still rolling down their windows, getting wet. Like, SkaterCon, let's go. Like, I love how inclusive it is. And not just SkaterCon, but the skateboarding community. I think that's why so many people are tapping more into skateboarding. And I know I'd like for you to share a story on this too, but like when I was little, I can still remember the times that I was looking up to the older guys, like wanted to fit in, and that led me into skating in downtown Chicago, and I'm filming with older guys. I'm 13, 14, but because I was getting good, I could keep up with them. I was hitting stair sets and handrails, and it was like, cool, come with us. I'd have to get my mom's permission. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to take a train with these guys. How old are they? 23. Peter, how old are you? Like, I don't know. They come over to my house. They're like smoking a cigarette on the porch. My mom's like, why are you hanging out with my kid?
Who is this man smoking a cigarette?
They're like, I promise you, like, Jacob's just good at skating. I don't know, like we want to go skate. And so that was super cool. Like, I really love those moments. And now being that 26-year-old at the park, it's a big reason why.
You remember what it was like when you were
like.
Those grommets age,
But also the people at the park that would like not want to be hanging out with me, or they're too cool for the little kid or something.
Well, that's the thing. Skateboarding means so many different things to so many different people. To some people, it's bringing up the next generation. To some people, it's just they want to be left alone and do their thing. And that's the beauty of skateboarding. It's just it means so many different things to so many different people. But skateboarding means something to them all,
So let's talk, because I always want to relate business to skateboarding. The easiest way to talk about it is like I always tell the kids, if you're gonna learn a new trick, how many tries you're gonna give yourself? I don't know. Well, 5, maybe 50, 100. They're like, until I get it. Exactly, until you get it. It's not a matter of if you get it, it's a matter of when you get it. And you're going to fall, and you might break your foot and have to.
But that's the learning process.
Yeah. And so I relate that a lot to the business and what we teach in the programs, because we'll have someone that goes to fill out a job application, they get denied, or they pick up one phone call, to try to make a sale for something, or they talk to someone, they get shut down, and then they give up. And they're like, oh, it doesn't work, or the business is hard, or poor me, my life isn't working out. It's like
business slam.
It's a business slam.
It's a business slam. That's all it is.
I love that.
Yeah.
So how have you related, what have you learned, I should say, specifically from skateboarding that you've taken to business that's helped you with creating SkaterCon and just being successful in life, like over the years? I'm sure there's
perseverance, man, and the drive and the grind, and just, you want to land the trick. And that's what it is, dude. Life is landing the trick. And you got to do whatever it takes. And you're going to do it as many times as it takes. But you have a goal, and you just gotta keep pressing on, man. Don't lose sight of what you want to achieve, you know. And so that's just what it is. I mean, I'm learning every day with SkaterCon. You know, it's a learning process, and it's an investment, and it takes so much. And I don't know everything it takes. You know, I don't know everything. I'm just one person with a small skill set. I need the community. I need people like yourself to be stoked on what I'm trying to do and be a part of it. And you know what? It takes a village. I'm just one person. It takes a village. I'm just the idiot. You know, somebody's got to be, though. So,
Somebody's got to.
that's just, yeah. And it takes the whole community, man. Like, am I the one who started SkaterCon? Yeah, I'm the one who started SkaterCon, but I'm not the one who puts it on. We all put it on.
Yeah.
You know, it takes everybody's involvement and the whole community. And that's the point. Like, that's what gets me stoked, is bringing everybody together in one place at one time, you know, whether it's once a year, twice a year, but that's what SkaterCon is. It's just everybody coming together, and, you know, whether you're in a band or whether you have a product or whether you skate or whether you just want to be there and be where the action is, and knowing that, you know, this is the place to be. If you love skateboarding, this is the place to be right now. There's only one place to be in the world right now if you love skateboarding, and that's at SkaterCon, you know.
Dude, one of my core values is relationships, and going in, you know, we're first just tapping into the new year, 2023,
Sure.
Big year. So leading into it, late December, I was taking a pause, like figuring out what do I want to do, you know, for this next year? Who do I want to surround myself with?
Right.
Take a reflection of my goals, everything, right? You got to learn from the past. Most people dwell on the past. You have to learn from it. And then you got to have a plan for the future, that why, that purpose, and then have some faith and perseverance to get through it. But
Certainly.
I labeled like relationships is the top core value that I have. And going into 2023, like you said, I can't do this alone. And some people, they think like, they see it on social media. You see the videos. You see all this stuff. Oh, the boards. Oh, it's like Jacob's got it all figured out. Oh my God. Like, oh, that'll never be me, right? But it's like you said, I'm just one person. It took Character Skateboards to say yes, but it took me to call them and ask, hey, do you guys want to be part of it?
It takes somebody with the initiative and the dream. But after that, it takes the whole community.
Yeah. I would have never thought, you know, a couple months ago I'd be skating Primitive Park with Paul Rodriguez, or like partnering, sitting down with you and partnering with SkaterCon, like so many cool things. But it was, they say that I've learned you don't have to know the how, like how you're going to do it. You just have to know the why. And I knew, again, from that trip, I want to travel the world, I want to skateboard, and I want to help people. And as long as I just kept with those, my why, that's what gives me up. That's what makes me pick up the phone, you know. And I have a meeting next week with Jessup Grip Tape, and they've been generous enough to give us so many rolls of grip tape and just support over the years, right? And I told her, I was just like, you know, you can't ride a skateboard without grip tape. And she laughed, but I'm like, it's so important, because we've donated boards to foster care, and we donate the boards at the SkaterCon, and we go out to events and do best trick and stuff. And it's sick to have just that sheet of Jessup and tossing it out.
Yeah,
you know?
that support is so valuable, and it can't happen without the support from the community. You know, so I admire how you are able to go about making those connections and allowing it to benefit the community and your goals at the end of the day, for sure.
Well, yeah, thank you, man. It's sick to just sit here. I know we've known each other a couple years, and talking back and forth, and to be able to like just again grow together. You know, one thing again that I've learned is that life is abundant, and when you come from a place of abundance and you realize that you can win and I can win, and just because if I win doesn't mean you have to lose, right? And some people think, and business owners, when they're starting out, they're like, oh, I want to not share my secrets because this is so valuable to me, and oh, you're going to steal something or do.
Yeah, you were saying something about Swapao and how, you know, oh well, you know, or is this guy someone, you know, that's trying to do something you're doing, but you made some great statements. You know, what were you saying? Yeah,
Swapao Plus, for you guys don't know, shout out to Swapao Plus Foundation. They work directly with foster care with their developmental programs, giving them opportunities. They're pressing their own boards, they're building their own companies, they've got online courses. So I'll definitely drop a link with them to show what they do. But we brought them on as a partner because we were donating boards. I mean, I would go to the skate shop and just buy a board and go and literally donate one. And it was like Element board or a Cowtown board, something, right? And then I realized, dude, I want people to know that it's from me, it's mine, you know? So that's when I created the company. I started calling Character. And then we were still donating to random people. And so I got connected with Mike Shapiro at the Swap Out Plus Foundation. I'm like, dude, this guy, we're very aligned. If you were to take the foster care out of it, very aligned. He's a mentor to other kids, and he's teaching them valuable life skills, business skills, relational skills. And he's really helping these guys thrive mentally, physically, financially.
Now, is that bad because you do those same similar things?
Not at all, because his focus is 100% with foster care. And so I saw an opportunity there where it was like, I have to give these boards to someone who would better benefit from this than foster kids going through a developmental program, you know? And so now we get to, you know, we turned around and gave him 40 skateboards for their fall program.
That's really cool.
His team and our team got together, and, you know, we're all in this, I think we're at a GCU or, I don't know, I think it was GCU where we showed up, and we were just all together, and we had a couple people cutting Jessup grip tape, right? We had some people gripping the grip tape. We had some people putting the bearings on the wheels. We're just an army for like 3-4 hours putting together 40 boards.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever put a skateboard together, but try it, you know? Like, I've gotten pretty good at it over the years.
Pretty therapeutic, too.
Yeah. But to have a team to do that and see all the boards laid out and we're all taking pictures, like, we both win, you know? It's again, that purpose that I'm winning, we're growing, he's growing, these kids are winning, and
absolutely,
we got to put on the event.
You guys were teamed up like that, and benefited the community the way you did.
And so we have a really, really strong relationship, and I have nothing but love for Mike and what they do at Swap Out Plus Foundation. And, you know, a big part of that again is communication. Right? If I were to think that I'm going to do something that could affect them negatively or you negatively, knowing that like we're in a relationship in a way where it's like we're trying to help each other. So why would I want to turn around and like step on someone's toes or anything, you know? So to be open and communicate with each other.
Communication is important.
It's huge. Yeah. And as long as you're on the same page with things and you have this, like, that vision and you guys know where you want to go.
It's really cool you guys can team up, man, and achieve those goals, you know, together. Whether, you know, it's just really, really heartwarming for sure. Yeah.
And more to come, you know. I don't know what the future holds, but
that's the cool thing. Like, you know, you never know. I mean, we're working every day towards goals, but those goals can change too every day into something bigger and better than what we had originally even imagined.
Yeah. You know, one of our goals this year is to build our first skate park. And I'm thinking, you know, my first thought is like Leon, Nicaragua, where those guys were. And they started a company, Drip Skate and Surf. Yeah. And to see how far they've come since 2016, whenever I met them in Nicaragua, you know, I met them there was these Americans, they had a little resort and they had like a concrete park. And so I was skating, and then those two guys rolled up, you know, and then they were like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I had 7 months to do whatever I wanted. I just graduated. I'm living life. Had my backpack and skateboard, had 0 plans, living in hostels, bumming it. And they were like, if you come with us and skate for this video that they were shooting, we'll show you Nicaragua how the locals know it. Like, we'll take you to places that no travelers go to. Yeah. So I was like, dude, let's do it. And I just built that relationship through them, and it was from skateboarding and being decently good at skating, and they had respect for me, and they took care of me and brought me into their home, and I'm eating local food, and I'm like really checking out all the good spots. So I used that the first week, and I'm like, I'm only hanging out with people that speak Spanish, 0 English, and skate. And so I would just take off, because, you know, you don't want to wear a watch and nice things. You have to have street smarts, right? And people think, oh my God, Nicaragua, that's dangerous. But so is Phoenix, right? If I want to go get in trouble in the Phoenix, you go get in some trouble. Same thing with Chicago. Like, people are afraid to branch out and go travel into the unknown, but you just have to be smart with it. So I just had board shorts in my board and my shoes and just go out, and I'd find people. And like, what are they going to do? Rob me on my shoes? Yes, they did. I did get my shoes robbed twice.
Lesson learned.
I ended up going like I don't know, maybe like 6 to 8 weeks without shoes.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
my brother, I remember I was knocking
6
on my
to 8 weeks.
no, dude, I was just skating with no shoes because
Wow.
they just kept getting robbed. I'm like, all right, done.
Yeah.
And done, dude. I remember knocking on my brother's door in Panama, and he was just like, I had no shirt, my backpack, I'm sweating because I had just skated like 4 miles from the bus stop.
Wow.
And no shoes. My feet were like bleeding and black, and he's like, he hadn't seen me, right? Because I had been traveling, and it was funny, but it just showed like I wanted to really immerse myself into the skaters there.
Yeah.
And from that, I realized like, dude, we're just all skaters at heart. Like we're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're born in different places, have different opportunities, but at the end of the day, they're still trying to learn a kickflip like 100 times. That person,
Right.
they still got that same mindset. So it's cool to try to be able to build something.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. That was really fun at PV today. That was really fun. It was a good little
broken
sesh.
board. When you left, Patrick, buddy that was there, he went up, did like some 5-0 off the bowl, and his wheel popped off.
No way.
It just, bearings busted, popped off. Luckily, he didn't. He kind of got off the coping a little bit. But when I saw the wheel pop off, I was like, please don't roll in, dude.
Gosh.
And
That's wild. Yeah, anything could happen at any time. But what's going to happen on Saturday, March 11th at PV?
SkaterCon.
SkaterCon 8.
SkaterCon 8. So let's talk SkaterCon 8 because we've got some cool stuff. This is the first one we're partnering together, right? NESW and SkaterCon. So we're gonna do pre-ticket sales. We'll drop a link in the bio here, and we're gonna be doing something special, man. Taking care of like a VIP status for guys. So this pre-sale ticket bundle is gonna include an event T-shirt. You're going to be able to get 2 tickets in. So when you get up to the gate, you get your tickets, your wristbands, sign the waiver, and then you head over to the SkaterCon booth, get your event shirt, and then head over to the NESW booth where we'll hook you up with one of these boards and a Sharpie so you can get some cool signatures like that as well. Because like you said, dude, there's going to be
tons of legends and
Dressin, Jim Muir, like the Dogtown crew.
I
Steve
mean,
Caballero.
it doesn't get any more legendary than Jim Muir and Red Dog from Dogtown, the original Zephyr. Crew, you know,
and I've got his on both of those boards right there.
Yeah,
and I decided I'm gonna keep getting a board, just signatures from all the SkaterCons.
Totally,
you know,
that's part of the fun, you know, and it gives you, it opens up the communication lines. It's more than just walking out and being like, hey, I'm this person and you're that person, and it's like, hey man, I respect you, I admire you. Would you mind signing my board? And you know, you spark up a little conversation.
On the Galaxy one,
really cool.
I had I think it was Pierre Andre, owner at Etnies. He was like, dude, there's no one skating. So he drew a little picture of a guy skating, and then someone else, I forget where it's at, but he was like, oh, there's no UFO in here. So they were like drawing like little pictures on it.
Oh, in the Galaxy. Yeah, that's rad.
So I wanted to be able to do, you know, that's what I'm like, dude, we got to give a board, right? So this pre-ticket bundle, it's going to include the tickets, event shirt, the Sharpie to get the signatures from the legends, and what else we got? The boards. When you get that board, we're also going to donate one to Swap Out Plus Foundation, directly helping with the foster care. So this pre-ticket bundle is going to be VIP, get you access.
It's so much more than just your ticket to get in.
Yeah, and if you do buy a ticket and you walk in, obviously you're going to get an event shirt. You might buy a board somewhere. So to get this pre-sale, we're chopping the price, giving it you all up front because we want to impact this. And again, from this ticket purchase,
and these are limited.
These are limited. We are going to do, we spoke about this, we're going to do the first 50 tickets. There's an private VIP after party. If you want in, this ticket sale is going to include access to that. It's all going to be on the page in the link below.
And that's where the drinking will happen.
Let's see. Yeah, we're limited. You know, there's limited board supplies. We're going to be giving a lot away, you know. So
because every time you buy one, one's going to go to a kid in foster care or a kid in need. I mean, you got to have a board to skate. So get one from NESW, get one from the ticket package before they're gone. And, you know, you did something really awesome besides just buy a board for yourself.
I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's just the coolest thing ever, man. I really am stoked on what you guys are doing over there at NESW and partnering up. And yeah, man, I'm really pumped for SkaterCon 8.
SkaterCon is going to be big, man. We're going to be pushing out all of this stuff on here. It's SkaterCon
underscore
official
on Instagram.
We'll put the @ right there. You know, and mine's Skateboard Mentor, as you guys know, or Nest.worldwide. We're going to have all this stuff in the description here.
So what else can people, when they come to your booth, they know they're going to get the board, they know you donate the board, and what else does Skateboard Mentor Jacob provide, NESW provide to the community?
Yeah, so we are the entrepreneurs of skateboarding. If you want to get around better people that want to help you grow mentally, physically, financially, we offer these online virtual programs where we meet twice a week on Zoom, and you get access to entrepreneurs, and we talk about relationships, business, goal setting. Maybe you're 17, 18, just got out of high school, and you're like, what do I do? Do I want to go to college, or do I want to start a business?
But you know you love skateboarding.
You know, I always relate everything to skateboarding. It's who I am. So we talk about how I've built, you know, my companies that I failed at and that we're successful at, how I got clients, and I bring in other entrepreneurs that have made.
So it sounds like you have a wealth of, you know, information to provide, and you know, I think that anybody with wondering, you know, what's my next step in life at any age, you know, should talk to you and you know, just kind of go back and forth and see what can materialize from that, because that's all it takes is communication. And this is a good dude to be talking to. So if you want to be involved in skateboarding, if you want to be involved in being successful and giving back to the community, you know, NESW is where you want to be.
Yeah, man, we say every push has a purpose, because when you skate NESW, someone else does too. And like with that, buy one, donate one. But when someone joins our programs, and you get lifetime access to the Mindset Mastery course, which helps you with that foundation. But you're also getting those live coaching sessions every week to get questions answered.
And this isn't just for people that want those benefits. This is for people that want to help out too, that have the knowledge, that have the experience.
Yeah.
And that want to get involved and help mentor young people that have questions and want to see their goals realized, you know?
100%.
So it's for everybody.
And not just people think, oh, these are these skate lessons. Do I have to be a skateboarder? No, like you said, you might have skated in the past, or you might just like watching skate videos. Like we're here to help people thrive, and we're here to help people crush their goals. The biggest thing for me was investing in myself, investing in coaches, investing in knowledge, into books, into programs. And I've spent now, you know, over $30,000 in the past 3 years on my own personal development to get to where I'm at. And it cut the curve for me. It's having someone that's like, hey man, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. This is what I'm doing. What am I doing wrong? And they're like, well, your goals are this way and you're looking this way. So why don't you just start doing this? And it's like, wow, okay. And instead of me figuring out over 10 years, I pay for a coach and they show me the way. And dude, now just being able to offer that to other people that were in the same position I was in at 15, 17, 21, 24. It's like, how do you get your own place? How do I move out of my mom's place? Or I don't know. It's just cool to get back in that way.
Really
and like,
awesome. Because I don't know a lot of people doing that. Hardly anybody. I mean, and not for a lack of not wanting to. It's just so many people are caught up living their lives and trying to, you know, just maintain. And you know, more power to them. I hope, you know, everything. At the end of the day, we need people like yourself, and Michael Swapau.
Michael.
And you know, it takes the community, it takes the village. So,
well, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do with SkaterCon. Number 8's coming up March 11th.
Yes, it is.
Big things happening. Really, man, I appreciate.
I hope everybody, you know, I appreciate you too. And I'm grateful for you allowing me to come in and sit in with you and the sesh today and everything else and the partnership. I'm really excited and stoked for the future of SkaterCon and the community. You know, it's going to be a lot of good things on the horizon for sure.
Oh, until SkaterCon.
Yeah. Yes, sir.